This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Hear stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special.
Hello and welcome in to another edition of the Inside Mside podcast here on the Morningside University YouTube channel, or if you're listening on your favorite audio platform, we appreciate you joining us as well. I'm your host, Zach James, and coming up in this episode, we're going to talk everything spring sports here at Morningside University. In this episode, we'll focus on the baseball, softball, men's and women's golf, men's and women's tennis, and men's and women's track and field, both indoor and outdoor, as they're either in the middle of their seasons or just getting ready to start their seasons. And one of those sports who are just getting ready to start their season, that's the Mustangs baseball team. They had a wonderful season last year in 2025 as they went 35-14-1 in their campaign. Coming up in this preseason poll that came out recently, the Mustangs were voted second by their fellow GPAC coaches, and they're gonna try and do better than that second place spot than they did last year and what they're projected this year. They won 19 conference games in 2025. They hosted one of the two GPAC pods, and they advanced to the pod championship series against Mount Marty. The Mustangs bring back their top two RBI guys from 2025, including Jacob Odell, who had 52 RBI, and Luke Blackman, who drove in 41 runs. The pitching staff, most of the guys come back as well, led by Cade Nolan, who you'll hear from here in a minute. He went 6-3 in 2025 with 67 strikeouts. To lead things off, here's head baseball coach Adam Boovey, and like I said, senior Cade Nolan.
I think the three keys for us are going to be mentally, how mentally tough, how mentally disciplined are we? I think we're going to have to be able to withstand some adversity, go through some tough challenges, and respond the right way. How well we play together is really not a concern for me. These guys love being together. There's a certain energy about the way that they go about their daily work. Accepting of roles in certain spots is going to be important. So just how we are mentally, how we play defense. We lost a Gold Glove shortstop last year from graduation. We've lost some good defenders in the outfield, so we're going to have some spots where I think, 3/4 of the way, 70-80% of the season last year, we were one of the top teams in the NAI as far as defensive fielding percentage. So playing defense at a high level, our pitching staff knows that they can pitch to contact and those plays are going to get made. So we got to play high-level defense, play catch around the diamond at a high level. So those two things I think are incredibly important, and then we got to stay healthy. Like the old best ability is availability, right? So we kind of got banged up middle of the year last year. Really, the last 2 years, towards the end of the year, we had some of our regulars out of the lineup. So we lost Connor Mass in the middle of the year last year. We had injuries at the catching position, and down the line we go. So if we can stay healthy, and battle through some adversity, I think we're going to be, a very talented team and challenged this year.
It's awesome going day to day and working with these guys. Like everybody on our staff, just they want to get better. It's a lot of personal, improvement everybody wants to do. We bounce off each other. We just are always talking, always working on new things as a staff. And for me, it's like I know that if I don't have a good start, I know that next game we're putting our next best guy out there. I fully believe that.
The Mustangs have 4 games this upcoming weekend down in southern Missouri, including their season opener at 10:45 a.m. this coming Friday against Mid-America Nazarene. You can watch all those games as well as all the other games throughout the season at msidemustangs.com. Much like the Mustangs baseball team, their softball peers were also voted second in the GPAC poll that came out earlier this week. They went 35-19 in 2025. They went 9-1 at the Jensen Softball Complex here on campus in 2025. They advanced to the GPAC Championship Series against Northwestern, and then they qualified for the NAIA National Tournament, where they went to the opening round down in Oklahoma City and got a pair of wins down there as well against Houston Victoria and William Carey. The Mustangs bring back a load of players back from their successful season last year, including Mackenzie Harrell, who had 12 homers and 54 RBI. RBI, and Paige Schuster, who hit .406 with 71 hits. The Mustangs also have a solid pitching staff of 4 women coming up this season, led by senior Morgan Sakura, who you're going to hear from here in a second. She went 16-7 last spring with an ERA of 2.47. Here's head coach Brooke Pruner, and then you'll hear from senior Morgan Sakura.
I mean, we're in a good spot. It's fun to bring back a team that has so much experience. In the fall, it kind of felt like, we're coming back like we never stopped a little bit too. And we got some new gals that will help us out a little bit and things like that. But they're a good crew. They've been chomping at the bit, I think, since we stopped in Oklahoma last year. But there is a little bit different of a feeling to that with this group, that everybody from top to bottom is somebody that I recruited and have coached here for 4 years. So that makes it a lot easier. But yeah, you just get comfortable. You kind of learn what works best for you as a coach and what works best for each team that comes through, because they change every year. So it kind of feels like you kind of got to mold to what they will accept and things that work best for them.
We have a really, really great offense this year. We normally do, but I think something about this year, we're more aggressive, I think. So it is harder to throw against my teammates because they like to swing at everything and make contact with it. So that's really fun for me to see, because it makes it feel more like what we're going to get when we get into a harder competition, and it pushes me to be better.
The Mustang softball squad starts their seasons coming up this Sunday at the American State Bank Dome up in Sioux Center. It's a 1:31 pitch against Benedictine. You can watch that game at msidemustangs.com, and to see a full schedule, just stop right there as well and check out the full slate of games, both non-conference and in-conference. Next up are the men's and women's golf teams we'll talk about here on this edition of the Inside Mside podcast. The men's and women's both teams had great falls. The men and the women both won their home Mustang derbies here earlier in the fall. The men had 4 in the top 10 of their tournament, while the women had 4 in the top 11. The men also won the Mount Marty invite, and they were also 3rd at the Virginia McCoy to end the fall. The women, meanwhile, they were 5th at a really, really competitive Northwest Iowa Invitational up in Lamar's, and they hope to keep that momentum going, both teams for that matter, going into the spring. The GPAC Spring Golf Tournament is going to be held right here in Siouxland later on this spring at Dakota Dunes Country Club in Dakota Dunes. The men's tournament is April 20th and 21st, while the women will be that following week on April 27th and 28th.
The men, I thought we've made big improvements to last year. We've got some players that have come in that have really stepped things up for us. Across the board for sure, and they were really solid and consistent all fall. The women were also really, really good, and I think the women have room to grow and room to get better. Our 1 through 3 were just seemingly awesome every single tournament, and then sometimes finding that 4 score was a little tricky each tournament. So we're working hard on that this winter, and I think the women have a ton of potential to keep it rolling in the spring.
I think the biggest thing is learning the courses, because obviously when you go into a new meet, you don't I'm not from this area, so just learning the new golf courses and figuring out where you should be, not be. So that's probably the biggest transition, is just knowing where to go. So
well, it's completely different for me. We don't play golf like this in a team at home, so just having the team environment is completely different, but yeah, I enjoy it.
You enjoy it? I really like the short game, that kind of aspect. That's where I can pick up the most more shots than everyone else.
I definitely thrive short game. Just the imagining shots kind of around the greens and stuff is definitely my strength.
Speaking of teams that hope to keep that momentum rolling from the fall to the spring, that's the men's and women's tennis teams, led by head coach Alex Schuck. The men are ranked number 13th, their highest ranking in school history, and the women, they're ranked 25th. Their season is already underway. They competed this past weekend in the Quad Cities against Indiana Wesleyan, where the men won 6-1, and the Mustang women won 5-2 over Indiana Wesleyan. 4 qualified over the fall for the ITA Cup, and they hope to keep that good mojo going here at the Mason Family Tennis Complex here on campus. In a few moments, you'll hear from head coach Alice Struck, as well as Lena Jensen and Alexi Diaz.
Oftentimes, especially in Iowa from high school experience, now in college, kind of as an intramural sport per se when I was here. Like, it didn't seem as serious viewed as like football or basketball, baseball, volleyball. And so the goal when I came back was we wanted to have the respect of other sports as well and realize we put a lot of work in our sport as well. And so we added a lot more. We made it a lot more year-round, and we're getting good results, which is nice. But I think the community, the family aspect has been big, where it spreads on campus. And if you come to a home match, there's a lot of different students from other sports that are watching us. And the energy we have, and I mean, I was looking back at pictures from last year, and just some of the crowd shots that their SIDs take are really cool to see energy behind it. Special people to come here, take a chance on me in Morningside and help get this to what it is now. And then the people we've had followed behind them have really taken that and kept pushing going forward. So it's been a really good mix and very international driven. We had 16 different countries on our team the last 2 years combined, men and women. And so from all over the world they come together, and it's more than just playing tennis. I mean, we're learning about each other, and we have a family away from their main home. So it's much more than just on-court performance and saying that family aspect. I mean, it is, if they need to go to the doctor, go to the grocery store, whatever it may be, I mean, it turns into a real big family on both sides helping each other out.
I've grown a lot mentally. I usually put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, but I've really grown, and like the match I played this weekend was the best I've ever been mentally. I had no negative thoughts or anything, but then also just I've grown as a tennis player in matches, like stepping up to the ball, and I've really worked on my footwork this semester or like this year, and it really paid off.
Me winning the ITR regionals and just being one guy in the lineup, I feel like I have this obligation to push everybody in the team to be better every day. So yeah, it's not that I have to do it, but I think this is a good thing for the team, and I think we all push each other, so yeah.
And last but certainly not least, here as we preview our spring sports teams here on the Inside Mside podcast, are the men's and women's indoor and outdoor track and field teams. The outdoor season doesn't start for a few more weeks yet, but the indoor season has been in full force since before the holiday break, and the Mustangs have competed well, especially in the last couple weeks. Take this last weekend, for example. The women's distance medley relay team went up to Mankato to run against some fierce competition, and they got second overall with a time of 12 minutes and 25 seconds, and that was good enough to reach the B standard in the NAIA when converted from the indoor to the outdoor track size. Morgan Sachs, who you'll hear from here in a minute, and Ava Lang both were in the top 10 in the 600-meter run. Some of our student athletes went down to Seward to run at the Concordia Classic this past weekend. That's where Morgan and Ava had their success there. Some earlier accomplishments include Courtney Sporer, who had a wonderful cross-country season back in the fall. She kept that momentum rolling by breaking a school record in the 3,000-meter run with a time of 10 minutes and 9 seconds back on December 14th. On the men's side, Theo Mosman, a Lawton Bronson grad, won the 400-meter run on Saturday at Concordia with a time of 49.49 seconds after winning the 600-meter run back in December on that same track. And Boston Riedemann was also second on January 24th at the Dennis Young Classic in Storm Lake in the 60-meter hurdles with a time of 8.73 seconds. You'll hear from head coach Frank Wallace as well as Morgan Sachs and men's sophomore Lane Kruger.
So in comparison to last year, I mean, there's a lot of good glimpses of where they can be. When we coach kids, we kind of err on the side of what we really think they can do and like what that big goal looks like. So when we're coaching them and we see certain things, we try to cue it to them like, this is a good sign for you. You can really be within this seat if you want to develop that way. What we've seen so far from our jumpers, from our throwers, they're young. They're very young. The jumpers that we do have, they've got a year or two experience under their belt. As one of them is sitting number 6 in the conference right now. So, I mean, the plan is for them to go out and just do what they need to do.
I would say the freshmen this year brought in a lot of energy, which was really helpful for us. Just definitely built up the energy overall as a team. Our team definitely is just more fun. It's more positive. Coming to practice knowing that it is going to suck, but it's that way for a reason.
We're here to work, not to mess around, even though we do have a good time. Just excited to grow. I'm excited to work, put in the effort. I'm very thankful to have my teammates by my side. They're there with me, going through the tough workouts every day.
Mentally, for sure. Keeping a good mindset the whole year. Times they're up and down. I mean, we all have bad meets. But I'll get better as the season goes on. And just trying to be consistent, I feel like, is key.
And before we get out of here, I'll throw in a shameless plug for our new athletics newsletter called the Mustang Standard. It'll come out, it'll get to your inbox on the last Friday of every month. If you haven't subscribed to it, scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to do so. If you're listening on the audio side, we'll throw in a link in the description as well. It's feature stories, videos, a lot more that you don't normally read on the website or in the Morningside Light. You'll get special content there on the last Friday of every month. If you've got story ideas that you would like us to cover in future newsletters, drop me an email at jamesz@morningside.edu. That'll do it for this edition of the Inside Mside podcast here on the Morningside University YouTube channel or on your favorite audio platform. That'll do it for this edition of the Inside Mside podcast. For everybody here at Morningside University and the University Engagement staff here, Zach James saying thank you so much for tuning in and listening in to this edition of the Inside Mside podcast. We'll talk to you next time.